What's up everybody, it's Stock Picks by Tim, back again, and I've got 5 stocks for you to look into. Now when I was waking up, we had a very nice pre-market, and then right when the market opened, we just started dumping. I'm going to give you a couple of thoughts here on some stocks that I've been watching lately. Now if you get something useful out of this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, so you're notified when I put out my next video. I do put out daily videos covering stocks, crypto, all that good stuff. Now let's start off here with CleanSpark. Now first off with CleanSpark, we've got some negative news. I wouldn't really call it news, but it is a downgrade by Zacks Investment from a buy to a hold. Other brokerages have also lowered their price targets. You'd think it's the end of the world, but it's actually kind of funny because, for instance, BTIG lowered their price target from 35 to 30. We're currently under $10. I mean, to me, big deal. They're just lowering it to be more in line with what our current price is. I find no alarm with this, and this could be partly why CleanSparks came down a little bit, but also Bitcoin's pulling back. We'll look at that in a second too, but we are still a lot closer to our 52-week low than we are our 52-week high. And remember that our low point was priced in right before our earnings, right during max fear, kind of towards the end of February when just all stocks were tumbling, and I highly doubt we're going to come towards that level. And I'm in fact putting money on it that we're not going to come back to that area. Now looking at the chart, you'll see we broke out of this trend here, so we can remove this. But we were in this downward channel, we broke out of it, but we're still resting at this support level right around $9. So keep an eye on this. If we do break this support level here, very possible for us to come towards $8.50. That would be our next level of support. But right now, CleanSpark is a falling knife on the candles. The RSI is nearing oversold, and it seems like the MACD is still trying to make up its mind what it wants to do. So I would say that Bitcoin is CleanSpark's deciding factor on the direction it takes, depending on where Bitcoin goes, at least until we get our next earnings or some new news on CleanSpark. And now looking at Bitcoin, it seems like it's playing games lately. We get into this pre-market, we have this pump pre-market, all the stocks are running pre-market, the market opens and just like that, starts dropping off like a rock. But we did, as of the last couple of days, have some nice stair-stepping action. I wouldn't honestly be surprised at all if we take it all back. This has tended to be the case lately. I mean, every little huge, and when we get a huge run like this, we take it all back right to square one. And this has happened consistently over the last few months. Here, you know, this run, pretty much all taken back. Same here, taken back very quickly. So just be careful with Bitcoin. Any kind of run like this, you know, same thing here. Any kind of run like this, usually it's unsustainable. It's going to pull back. So I'm just keeping a close eye on Bitcoin. I, of course, don't want to break that 40,000, but I still think it's possible. And Bitcoin pulling down and testing some lower levels is definitely going to put some headwinds towards CleanSpark. But in the end, that's all just short-term noise. Long-term, I'm extremely bullish on both Bitcoin and CleanSpark, and I personally expect CleanSpark to outperform Bitcoin in terms of if you put $100 in Bitcoin, put $100 in CleanSpark, that $100 will give you more gains on CleanSpark, in my honest opinion. That's what I expect over the coming months, maybe even years. And next, I want to quickly brush over Indi. I'm extremely bullish on this company. This is a semiconductor company, very small cap as well, right under $1 billion. And we've been getting higher lows. We've been testing this area, but every single time we get a little bit higher each time. Seems like there's some buyers down at the bottom that are just ready to start buying it up as it hits these lower levels. And from this point of about 670, we just bounced up to about 720, starting to cool down a little bit now. And don't forget guys, with Indi, their earnings is coming up very soon, just a couple weeks away. And I will be covering that very soon, so stay tuned. But we've got the RSI rising, the MACD looking bullish, and the candles are bullish right now. And it appears we really don't have another resistance until roughly $8, $8.10. So that area, once we start pushing up there, I would likely expect this to find some resistance here, maybe even pull back, retest these lower levels, retest this upper sixes. But I'm extremely bullish on Indi for the long term. And I've said this before, you know, we've got a stellar executive team. Revenue's been continuing to increase. They're in an expanding industry. You know, semiconductor chips are just expected to grow worldwide continually. And newer vehicles are actually requiring more and more semiconductor chips. And this is going to benefit Indi greatly. Definitely bullish on Indi, and lately those warrants have actually been seeing some nice gains. I believe yesterday was like a 10% day. The stock went up like 5% or so. Warrants have been outperforming the stock lately, and I expect that to happen as this price goes up. But they will also outperform to the downside. If it starts pulling back, these warrants will pull back even greater than Indi. So be aware of that if you're considering investing in Indi warrants. And next up is going to be AMD, another semiconductor play that I'm very bullish on. At this price, I see it as a great time to average through. Short term, I think we can test some lower levels. We did break out of this channel, but we found some resistance here at this $98. This resistance here became a resistance. We need to break this $98 before we push higher. So keep an eye on breaking that. That could even be a great breakout trade. Although, if we do break out of that, we might have a next resistance here at 99. So I would argue, wait for that 100. Play that breakout on 100. It might not be worth it playing it on 98, although you could try. And as for the downside, if we break this 92.15, we're going to push lower levels. So you could even short it there. Play it on that breakout, play it from 92 down to 90, down to, 90.50. Just a quick little scalp. But looking at AMD, we're having trouble holding over the EMAs. We did break out of this trend, which is good. RSI is falling. We were getting near overbought. Now we're more towards neutral. And the MACD looks like it's curling down, ready to pull back. We might be testing this 92 very soon. Keep an eye on AMD. I am bullish on the long term, extremely bullish. I love buying it at this price under 100. However, short term, we are definitely likely to see 90, maybe even see the 80s. And especially if tech continues to sell off. And depending on what Apple does for earnings as well. Depends on what a lot of these tech companies are doing. We've got Google's earnings. So keep an eye on what tech is doing in terms of earnings. And this will likely dictate what AMD does as kind of a sympathy play. All right, next up is going to be Chargepoint, CHPT, and this kind of doing a similar thing, just like CleanSpark was doing, where it kind of breaks out of the channel and is kind of using this channel as a support line, as a trend line. So we were writing this channel down, we broke out of it, although we are starting to come back down. We found this resistance here at about 1650. Maybe this resistance point might have been playing with that. Look for us to break this 1650 level on the short term to the upside, and look for us to break $15 to the downside, and you could play either direction on a breakout trade. But if we do break 1650, I'm expecting us to find this 1740, 1750 area as a strong resistance. We've got our resistance right here and right here that we have to break past, and that's going to be after we break this 1650. But overall, long term, I see it as a great opportunity to add to Chargepoint. This is my high conviction EV play, and no, it's not an EV specifically, but it is still in that sector, in that space. And they're actually the market leader in North America, and they're expanding to Europe. Their acquisitions are helping them out there greatly, and their revenue's just been continuing to increase, and we are going to break over that $100 million in revenue, I would expect. Not this quarter, but likely next quarter. We're going to see over $100 million in revenue next quarter. Not this one, but next one. Now looking at the RSI, we are dropping, and MACD looks like it's ready to curl and turn bearish, so we may play some lower levels on this one. Keep an eye on Chargepoint. I think long term it's great for an average through, although short term we are very likely to come down to the lower teens. I think so. I also wanted to give you guys an update on Volta or VLTA. This one has a lot of headwinds in it. It's definitely high risk, and I'm not going to add more. I was just about fully built out. This bad news of insiders leaving came out. The earnings date getting pushed out came out, and their expectations not being that great as well. So I personally am not willing to put more money in this one, but I'm just going to hold it. Now at the end of the year, I will decide for this one if I want to take that tax loss or let it ride into next year. And let this be a lesson to many of you that these smaller caps, under $1 billion, 500 million less, anything around there, you definitely want to keep a small percentage of your portfolio. And if you already feel overextended, don't try to double down, don't try to average down, thinking that you can then get out of it. That's not the point. The point is investing in companies you believe in. If something doesn't work out, you either let it go and move on, you decide to hold until the end of the year, but always keep a small position. You don't want to blow up your portfolio with something as risky as a Volta, something even as risky as a CleanSpark. You don't want to put 20% of your portfolio in something like that, a bingo, anything like that. Too risky. Keep it to a smaller percentage of your portfolio, and you'll be able to sleep better at night. I'm not going to count this as a loss yet. I'm going to continue to hold, but I'm not going to be averaging through. I'm not going to be buying these lows, these new lows, because I think it's very likely that we're going to continue and create newer lows. There are just too many headwinds with this one, and I'm not willing to take that risk. But let me know in the comments below, guys, if you're willing to take that risk. If I seem like an idiot for not averaging down, not buying these lows, let me know in the comments below. Next up is going to be Matterport. This one was a falling knife for quite a long time, and now we've been trading sideways. Since about the beginning of March, we've just been continuing to trade sideways. I see this one right now is a great time to continue to average in. You'll see we have this low point kind of towards the end of February. We haven't gotten down there again. We have been testing this lower level, but we haven't broke it. So keep an eye on this like 650. If we break this, be careful. But personally, I really like Matterport as a metaverse play. I also have some immersion too. That's another small cap metaverse play. But Matterport's sitting right here like under a $2 billion market cap. It is a fourth of what its market cap once was, maybe even less. And I see this as a great potential play on any huge Facebook news, on any huge crypto metaverse news. If any metaverse news gets out there and huge hype in the metaverse, this is definitely going to have its day in the sun as well on any metaverse hype. Now that alone isn't a reason to invest in a company. I also believe in their digital twin software, which basically gets a building from the real world and you can put it into the metaverse and is completely accurate, right dimensions, everything. You could even use this for real estate. There are definitely a lot of uses for this potential software, but I highly recommend you also look into immersion if you're looking for some metaverse plays. Check that one out as well. It deals with haptic feedback, and I think Matterport and immersion are two great plays to own, and they each give you kind of a different taste of the metaverse space, with Matterport being digital twins, you know, buildings and such, and with immersion being the haptic feedback, just the feeling of being in the metaverse. I think these two will do great in the long term. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do in the metaverse and what kind of new technology they're going to come up with throughout the next few years. But that's all I got for you guys. Let me know in the comments below, what's your favorite stock? What stock have you been loading up on? I've definitely been eyeing CleanSpark, ChargePoint, and Indi. Those are my all-time favorites. But what are your favorite stocks? What are your highest conviction stocks? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, guys, take it easy.